Hey, Battle Bill, here with another video, and today we're hopping back into some Great League Go Battle League battles. With the Flying Cup being over, there's still a few days left of Season 4. Is that what we're in? We're in Season 4 right now? Yes, Season 4. And with that has brought back all 3 leagues that you could participate in, plus Masters Premier. So, obviously, my main focus is going to be on Great League content because that seems to be the content that you guys seem to enjoy the most. Plus, Great League's my favorite league as much as it's not always my most successful league. But today I'm going to give you my go-to team before this portion of the season ends because we only have a few days until Season 5 comes, and I will definitely be trying to crank out as much content as I can in those 3 specified cups. But regardless of that, we're focusing on the present, the now, and I want to give you the team that I've been having the most success with in some Great League battles. This team is consisting of an Obstagoon lead with Cresselia, one of the tankiest Pokemon in Great League, as the safe swap, and then a Galarian Stunfisk closer. So if you're excited for some battles and to see how clutch Cresselia could be with its tankiness in Great League, not Ultra League, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's check out these battles. Alright, let's get into the first battle. Let's see what types of leads the meta will be bringing my Obstagoon in this portion of Great League. We got an Obstagoon on, oh, surprise, surprise, and a Azumarill lead. Now, this is a lost lead, but I don't necessarily like to swap immediately out of this because I could play this in a way, or try my best to play this in a way, where either I land the gunk shot and do a solid amount of damage to Azu, or get some shields by potentially baiting. Now, I have not been having a bunch of success doing either of those things, so let's see if I'm able to pull it off in this matchup. I shield no matter what because I'm assuming or expecting Play Rough like that came through, and that Play Rough would one-shot my Obstagoon in that situation. So I'm going to go for the bait here. Going to throw the Night Slash. The question is, will I get the shield? No, I don't get the shield. So not looking great, not off to a great start. I already used the shield and I was not able to get their shield, and now I CMP tie with them on my charge move when I'm going to go for the gunk shot. And I know it's the Play Rough coming through, so I end up using a second shield because I have all this energy and I don't want it to go to waste. What I should have done here was probably go for another Night Slash to potentially bait out the shield, but I didn't want to take that chance. I wanted to guarantee that shield right there or get solid damage on the Azu. So now what I want to do is I want to try and catch a move from this Azu onto my Cresselia. So I pull the swap there, hoping to catch a Play Rough, which is why I swapped into Galarian Stunfisk. I do not pull off the swap, so this match is just getting better and better. And I was calling Cresselia the save swap, and ironically I'm using Galarian Stunfisk here as a save swap. But thankfully, they don't have Hydro Pump. They throw an Ice Beam, and the Ice Beam is not that big of a deal. The Hydro Pump would have been a much bigger deal in this situation, considering I had no shields. So Sableye comes in. I'm going to go for the Earthquake here. I'm not expecting them to use their shields, and they did not use their shields. It puts Sableye into the yellow, and the goal here is to try and get to the Rock Slide. Hopefully, before they get to the foul play or before they throw. Unfortunately, I was not going to be able to. Mathematically, I shouldn't have, obviously, which is why it didn't happen. But I will survive this foul play that comes through, and I will be able to get off the Rock Slide at least. So that question becomes, do they want to keep their Sableye alive, or do I get their last shield? If I get their last shield, I'll go back into Obstagoon to finish off the Sableye. They let Sableye go down, though, and then they have a Galarian Stunfisk of their own, and I have my Cresselia lined up with it, which is not the most ideal. So I'm going to go with Obstagoon because it still has some health, and the Galarian Stunfisk doesn't really have too much energy because it just came in, did like one mud shot to my Galarian Stunfisk and took me out. So I'll be able to spam at least 2 Night Slash, just hoping for a boost here. Don't get the boost on that one. Gonna get to the second Night Slash before they get to a charge move here. And I'm kind of like in Rock Slide range. I feel like Rock Slide would do just enough to take out Obstagoon or get it into like farm range. It's in a very weird amount of health. Luckily, that Night Slash gets their last shield. So what I'm trying to do, expecting the Rock Slide, is swapping into Cresselia because it's key to keep Obstagoon alive to then try and take out this Galarian Stunfisk later. I end up catching an Earthquake though, not a Rock Slide. So they wanted to make sure they 100% took out my Obstagoon there, and they end up staying in. But Cresselia doesn't mind this matchup too much. Yes, Galarian Stunfisk is going to resist both the Psycho Cuts and the Moonblasts, but these Grass Knots coming from Cresselia, as much as they're not stab, they're still doing solid neutral damage. Plus, Cresselia is such a tank, this can be another Earthquake, and I can survive it without any problem. So, this is going to come through, and we're going to see how my opponent decides they want to play out the rest of this match. They end up swapping into their Azu, which was a huge mistake, and that allows me to get off another Grass Knot onto their Azu. So, yeah, okay, I felt like I said that weird, so that's why I started to stutter. They should have left Galarian Stunfisk because I couldn't farm them down. I would have had to have thrown, and they could have at least mud-shotted me for some extra damage, even if they weren't able to get off a move before I got off my move and took out their Stunfisk. By swapping an Azu, I was able to outpace them because they wanted to farm me down and bubble me down, throw 2 Grass Knots to take out their Azu, and then swap into Obstagoon to counter it down and end up winning the match. And it was all because of Cresselia's tankiness. Didn't use it as a save swap there, but it was able to tank 2 Earthquakes and survive a bunch of bubbles from Azu to get off that second Grass Knot and really clutch the match. Alright, getting into the next match. We lost lead in the first one, still pulled it out. Let's see what happens in this next one. We're going to have an Obstagoon on a Defense Deoxys lead. So we lost back-to-back leads because we do not want to see these counters from Defense Deoxys, so we immediately safe swap into Cresselia. They decide they want to continue countering away at my Cresselia, so I'm going to build up a bunch of energy, and then they safe swap into Abomasnow. Because of the fact that they stayed in as long as they did, it actually benefits me because of the fact that I have this energy advantage and I'm able to get off this first Moonblast relatively soon after the Abomasnow comes in, and I get the debuff. The debuff is a welcome sight just because of the fact it's been nerfed since its first release. When it was first released, it was happening at a 30% rate. Now it happens at a 10% rate, so it's rarely ever happening whenever I throw those Moonblasts, but here it's helpful. I ended up shielding that first move because, one, I knew I was going to go for more Moonblasts, so I might have gotten another one, even though it was 10%. You never know with RNG and how that works. And 2, I expected an energy ball because of the fact Cresselia is so bulky. I would have expected them to want to go for the bigger move right off the bat and not expect the shield from me. But unfortunately got baited. Not the end of the world though, because I got their shields here. And I'm ahead in energy, and I'm kind of outpacing them on top of the fact that their weather balls really just aren't hurting Cresselia at all based on its tankiness. Excuse me, and the fact that we got the debuff on Abomasnow, so that was super helpful. We're going to go for another Moonblast here. This will either take out Abomasnow or get their last shields. Ends up taking it out because I would have gotten to another one after, and they would have only gotten one more weather ball off if that's what they decided they wanted to do. So, let's see what they decide to bring in to try and finish off my Cresselia. And they go back into Defense Deoxys. They're going to go for a charge move here from the energy they built up earlier, which is totally fine by me. I have no intention of shielding it because Cresselia will be able to tank it, and they still will not be able to counter me down again because Cresselia is a tank. And it's resisting the counters, plus Defense Deoxys doesn't get stabbed. So they're going to need to go for another Rock Slide here to take out my Cresselia. Luckily, I'm able to get off this Moonblast here, which will do a solid chunk to their Defense Deoxys. Now, we have to wait to see how they're going to decide to play this out. If they want to try and commit to the counter down, which really looks like it's happening slow, they don't. They're going for the charge move. I would have been able to get to another Moonblast though regardless, so this was definitely their best decision to make in this scenario, and then they take out my Cresselia. But now that I flip switch, which is huge here, I can go in the Galarian Stunfisk, and I have no problem with these counters coming from Defense Deoxys because, again, no stab, Defense Deoxys, low attack, even though it's super effective. Galarian Stunfisk can tank them, on top of the fact that Defense Deoxys charge moves don't do much to Galarian Stunfisk. So, we're looking good there until this Azu comes in, and I'm like, wait, Obstagoon's going to be completely useless in this match because it doesn't want to see Defense Deoxys, it doesn't want to see the Azumarill. Luckily, I was able to get off the charge move and land the Earthquake before. They're going for a charge move here, and I have to use my shields. This is going to end up being an Ice Beam, and even if it was, I mean, I would have preferred a Hydro Pump because I would have gotten rid of their energy, but I had the shield no matter what based on the fact that these bubbles are adding up, and the Ice Beam would have done enough chip damage that Galarian Stunfisk wouldn't survive much longer, and Galarian Stunfisk needs to clutch out this match. I ended up going for the bait there. It didn't work out, but I don't mind that completely. So I'll get to the second Rock Slide. This won't take out the Azu, and I can either farm the Azu down now with my Galarian Stunfisk, or I'm going to actually swap in the Obstagoon since I know it's not going to be the most useful here, and in case they got to a charge move, I was going to have Obstagoon absorb it as if it was like a third shield. They go back into their Defense Deoxys because it's their last Pokemon. They're throwing a charge move here. It should be a Rock Slide. It's going to do a solid chunk to my Obstagoon. I'm hoping I can try and get off 2 Night Slashes here to win the match, and we'll see if I'm going to be able to do it, but this first Night Slash will get the shields because they really can't take the chance. As much as it'll be the weaker one in case I get a boost, they have to shield that no matter what. So I end up getting that shield. It's looking like I might be able to get to the Night Slash before they counter me down, so they decide they want to throw their charge move because of the fact that if I got to that Night Slash, it would have been GG. So they're throwing their charge move here. Ends up being a Psycho Boost. Honestly, I guess based on the moveset, it was a little bit more energy efficient, but it kind of defeats the purpose here because it nerfs Defense Deoxys attack stat. So the move that you're relying on here to take out my Stunfisk, which is counter, is doing even less damage now. And they get off another Psycho Boost, but it's going to be resisted. A Rock Slide would have been resisted. I'm going to get to the Rock Slide. I'm going to actually overfarm because for whatever reason, I wanted to play safe and go for the Earthquake. But then I ended up going for the Rock Slide anyway, and the Defense Deoxys was in Rock Slide range the entire time. There was no point in me overfarming there. I made relatively close match, way closer than it needed to be, but I still pulled it off even after losing lead again. Alright, getting into the third match, let's see what kind of lead we're going to run into here. We've got an Obstagoon on a Sableye lead, but it's a purified Sableye lead. So this is a positive lead for me, but I do need to make sure the return doesn't land. I'll be triple resisting all these Shadow Claws. If they go for a foul play, I'll be resisting that. These counters I'm doing are single resisted by Sableye, but the Night Slashes I'm going to be going for here are going to deal neutral damage. And Sableye's fairly glassy, and I'm also getting to these charge moves pretty quick, so you'll notice the Sableye's already at half health. So I'm going to just build up to my next Night Slash. It seemed like we got a little bit of lag there, and I'm able to get off this Night Slash also, but honestly, this was a positive matchup either way. It's unfortunate the lag happened, but I don't really think it had too much of an effect on the match. This will end up getting a shield because of that. Maybe they would have been able to get off their return first and then let their Sableye go down, so that was definitely a scenario there. But now they're not lagging, and it's back to the match as usual. I'm expecting the return here just because their Sableye is so low. I end up calling it, which is huge, and we're at even shields, so all I want to do here is go for the Night Slash, not take any chances based on their energy, even though they just threw a huge return. They really weren't going to get to another charge move for a while, so I could have been a little greedy and overfarmed, but I just played it a little bit safer than I probably should have. But still, better safe than sorry. I've done that plenty of times trying to overfarm, feeling like I'm safe, and then another charge move comes off and it ends up biting me. So they come in with a Alola Marowak, which is quite the counter to my Obstagoon. So it's looking like whatever their third Pokemon is doesn't want to see my Obstagoon either, so I definitely want to commit a shield to my Obstagoon, or think about it, but the issue is they're only going to be throwing Bone Clubs at me. Any Ghost move coming from Alola Marowak is just not going to do any damage because of the triple resistance. And then I debate to myself, I'm like, do I really want to shield a Bone Club? As much as it's dealing neutral damage, Bone Club's a terrible move. So I was contemplating that in my head. I definitely could have shielded one and gotten to another Night Slash to take out this Alola Marowak, but I do have another Pokemon in the form of Galarian Stunfisk, even though this Marowak has Fire Spin, that could still deal with the Alola Marowak. So I let this Bone Club come through and almost take out my Obstagoon. It actually ends up being worse because I get another Fire Spin through to take me out. But the Marowak's low enough where it's in Rock Slide range, so I can go into Galarian Stunfisk here, and they'll get to a charge move, so I didn't click mine. I knew they were going to win CMP here, so no matter what they decide to throw, I'm going to shields. Could be a super effective Bone Club, could be a Shadow Bone. I'm worried about it lowering my defense. It doesn't, thankfully, so I overfarm here. Shadow Bone has a 20% chance of lowering your opponent's defense, but whenever I've faced Shadow Bone, it's felt like 100%, but it's not. It just has felt like that. So I overfarm, throw the Rock Slide, and I'm sitting in a nice spot. I have 2 Pokemon left against their last Pokemon. Their last Pokemon here is going to be a Ferrothorn, and thankfully we're in a no-shield situation. Galarian Stunfisk and Cresselia individually don't really have the best matchup against Ferrothorn. Galarian Stunfisk can at least land a neutral Earthquake, which does that much damage, about 2/3 of it. But Cresselia, all of its moves are going to be resisted by Ferrothorn. So what I try to do is pull off a swap, catch a Power Whip. But because I have both of them and they only have their Ferrothorn with no shields, I'm sitting in a pretty spot. I'm going to end up pulling off this match, and they could throw as many Power Whips as they'd like. I'm still going to end up winning this. So we're just going to watch the charge moves go through. You'll see how tanky Cresselia is. That Power Whip only did about 1/3 damage, and Ferrothorn's getting stabbed on it, and typically Power Whips do hurt a bunch from Ferrothorn, but to Cresselia, it could eat a few. We're in the yellow now. We don't mind that. We're going to overfarm really for no reason and click the Moonblast. This will not take out the Ferrothorn because it's a Steel type. It's going to resist the Moonblast that's coming through, but between the fact that my Stunfisk has energy, this Ferrothorn is going to take a while to take out my Cresselia. Even if they got another Power Whip, they decide to quit and call it GG, and I'm able to pull off the 3rd straight match in this set. Alright, getting into the 4th match of the set. We've lost 2 leads, 1-1 lead, 3-0. Take that as a solid set off the bat, and we have another positive lead here. We do have to watch out for Sludge Bomb. It'll be neutral, but it'll hurt because of Gengar's tankiness. I'm the tankiness. I said Gengar's tanky. It's high attack stat. And they end up swapping out into Galarian Stunfisk. And I'm like, I don't have a great answer for it. I have my own Stunfisk, but then I'm behind on energy and we're playing the bait game, which is something I don't want to do. And if I lose switch there, then the Gengar falls on my Cresselia, which is a big no-no. So I'm like, you know what? Obstagoon can handle this Galarian Stunfisk. I'm going to stay in, hope for a boost. That would be great. I'm expecting them to go for the Earthquake because they want to get rid of my Obstagoon, so I pull the shield there. And then Galarian Stunfisk can deal with the Gengar later on. And I'm not sure what moveset they'll be running, but in case they're running, well, if they're running Sludge Bomb, it'll be a better situation for my Stunfisk in the back. Considering they immediately swap, though, that kind of tells me that they're not running Sludge Bomb. But regardless, I get the boost there, and I almost countered down the Stunfisk before they get to another charge move. But this was relatively quick, so I know for a fact it's going to end up being a Rock Slide, so I don't need to shield here. So I'm in the yellow here. I'm going to counter down. I'm wondering if they're going to try to go into their Gengar, because at least they can try and spam some Sludge Bombs, and they do. So this is really showing me that their team is extremely weak and triple weak to Obstagoon. A lot of people having weak teams to Obstagoon here. So I'm going to spam these Night Slashes. The fact that they're boosted, Gengar would probably get one shot by one, so they had to shield. And I really want to get off another Night Slash, so they'll outpace me here, but expecting the worst. A Shadow Punch would literally do nothing and tickle Obstagoon, but a Sludge Bomb would finish me off. They end up throwing the Sludge Bomb, so I guess they were like, you know what, maybe they could force the swap, and which is why they swapped. But like Gengar, if it gets off the Sludge Bombs, can kind of threaten Obstagoon. I mean, it's a terrible matchup for the Gengar regardless. So I can understand the immediate swap. There, I get their last shields, and they're going to just outpace me, so we both decide to swap at the same time. Their last Pokemon's Abomasnow, so they're literally triple weak to Obstagoon here, and I'm sitting, again, in a real nice situation for this match. So, one lead in back-to-back matches. We're going to win these matches. Lost lead the first two. Won those matches. I'm just going to get off a couple Rock Slides. The Energy Balls from Abomasnow aren't really threatening to Galarian Sunfist, especially in a no-shield situation where I'm spamming Rock Slides. But you'll see, it gets about half my remaining health, but I'm going to outpace it and over-farm there. Get a little greedy, not too greedy, and get off this Rock Slide to take out the Abomasnow. I'm fully expecting the Gengar to come in, but they're going to have to Shadow Claw and Shadow Punch me down, and maybe they're hoping that they can try and farm me down, because they definitely don't have a Shadow Ball, so they're going to have to go for the Shadow Punch, and we're going to see if this is going to be enough to take out my Galarian Sunfist. If not, I'm going to get off the Rock Slide and win this match. Shadow Punch comes through, Galarian Sunfist just holds on with a little bit of HP. Even if it didn't, they had to throw their energy there. My Obstagoon had energy from before. I would have gotten 10 Night Slash and taken out the Gengar and won this match. So, some people aren't really prepared for the Obstagoon, but it really prevails when people when they aren't ready. That was an awkward end to that clip, but obviously if people aren't prepared for a Pokemon, they're going to get slaughtered by that Pokemon. And it's shown how well it can perform these last two. But this is a feature on Cresselia, and we lost lead in those first two, and Cresselia came in clutch. Let's lose lead again here. Obstagoon does not like this matchup up against Pelipper. So what I'm going to try and do here is throw a Night Slash, maybe get a boost, maybe try it, maybe it'll help me potentially have a better chance in this matchup, but I'm probably not going to get the boost, and I'm going to have to swap into Cresselia. Night Slashes do a nice amount, but these counters just are resisted. They're going for a charge move here. I'm expecting a Weather Ball because they just got to it after I threw the Night Slash. They did not farm up enough energy to get to the Hurricane, so tank that, puts me in the yellow, and now I swap into Cresselia, and now it's all the Pelipper's in Moonblast range, but they end up save swapping into their own Galarian Stunfisk, and they took a little while. This, again, is not a terrible matchup for Cresselia. Cresselia, again, all of its moves except for Grass Knot are being resisted by Galarian Sunfist, but it can tank the Earthquakes really well and the Rock Slides. If I can actually call an Earthquake, I might be able to flip this switch situation. So I decide not to shield this, expecting a potential bait, but they end up going straight for the big move in the Earthquake, so end up not doing what I was looking for. But I'm going to overfarm, and I'm outpacing. I'm getting to the Grass Knots quicker than they're getting to the Earthquakes, so that's always a positive. I should be able to get off this Grass Knot and almost get to another one before they get to their next Earthquake. But I'm also expecting, based on where my health is currently at, we see in Pizza here, I'm expecting them to bait. And typically I get baited very well, but I'm not going to shield this, and I was correct. They went for the Rock Slide. And that helps me a ton in this situation, because of the fact that they cannot Mud Shot me down. Cresselia, such a tanky boy. So I'm going to get to this Grass Knot here. It's going to do another chunk to the Galarian Sunfist. No, it's actually not. It's going to get their shields. But if they did not shield, they would have gotten a nice chunk. And I think I'm going to shield this. Oh no, I did not shield this. Why did I not shield this? Oh, I know why I didn't shield this. Sorry. I didn't shield this because of the fact that I can let Cresselia go down here, even though it didn't flip switch. It got me shield advantage, and I'm going to farm a little bit with my Obstagoon. So that was the play there. I wanted to completely farm down, but I didn't want them to even get off a Rock Slide, and I didn't want to have to use a shield either. So I overfarmed a bit, throw the Night Slash, take out the Stunfisk, fully expect the Pelipper to come in. And because of the quick swaps, I know this also has to be another Weather Ball they built up to, but because I have shield advantage, I don't mind committing this shield here, because I can get to the Night Slash and it would be enough to take out the Pelipper if they decide that they don't want to shield this. So either I'm going to take it out and have to face their last Pokemon, or I'm going to get their last shield. Regardless, we're feeling like we're in a positive situation. It all depends on their last Pokemon, and it doesn't take out the Pelipper. It actually allows me to get another counter through, which is even better. And then they come in with a Cradilly, and I highly respect the spice, but Cradilly is not in a positive situation. So this is working out real nice to close out endgame. Obstagoon's going to spam these Night Slashes. The counters are doing super effective damage because Cresselia is a rock type, and they're going to try and bullet seed me down, but they're not going to be able to because Obstagoon's a bit tanky itself. And I'm going to get to another Night Slash here. This would get the Cresselia really low and put it in counter range, but they decide to use their last shield, so I'm going to go into Galarian Sunfisk and just kind of show them that this match is over. Cresselia, even with Power Whip, I think that's a grass move gets access to, is not going to do enough to my Galarian Sunfisk because it would only be neutral. And we go 5-0 in the set. Cresselia getting us shield advantage there, being extremely key. So, Cresselia is not just useful in the Ultra League, it actually has a solid amount of play in Great League 2 based on its tankiness and it being a save swap. Not a lot of people are carrying Ghosts and Dark types at this point in the meta. That can always change, but not too many people are coming in with extremely hard counters to a Cresselia save swap, so I highly recommend you use this as a Pokemon. I also highly recommend this team. It does have a bit of a weakness to fighting, so if you're running into a bunch of Shadow Machamps, you want to be careful. You obviously want to land it on Cresselia, but no team is going to be perfect, and there are no triple weaknesses here, so that's the most important part. Other than that, let me know what you thought of the team, let me know what you thought of the battles, and hopefully I'll be able to give you another go-to team. There's definitely some spice Pokemon I want to test out before this portion of the season ends, just, to prepare you for when Season 5 passes and we don't do any of these Great League battles, but when we get back into Season 6 and you want to finish the season strong in case you're trying to make that final push to rank 10. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.